Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at a state that, well, it's often overlooked in the global conversation, but is arguably one of the most fruitful pivots in modern India, Haryana.
It really is. We've got a fascinating stack of your sources here, everything from deep archaeological digs to fiscal blueprints looking all the way to 2047.
And what a picture they paint. It's a land of, extreme paradoxes. You see documents detailing record economic growth right next to reports of profound social friction.
And this huge, almost existential environmental crisis bubbling underneath.
Exactly. It's complex, it's fast-moving. And just look at the ambition here. The new 2025-26 budget is proposing an expenditure of, what is it, 2,05,017 crore rupees.
That's a stunning number. And it's a 13.7% increase over the last year. That's not just ticking along, that's a state hitting the accelerator.
So for today's deep dive, what's our mission? How do we make sense of all this?
I think we need to tackle three core tensions that really jump out from the material. First, this deep conflict between its agrarian past, the legacy of the Green Revolution, and the high-tech industrialized future it's sprinting towards.
Okay, old versus new.
Right. Second, we have to unpack this unique economic riddle, what some sources call rich but unemployed, high income, high joblessness. How does that even work?
That's a huge one.
And finally, we'll look at the administrative overhaul. Governance itself is being digitized, completely re-engineered with this thing called the Parivar Pechan Patra, or PPP, at its core.
All right, let's start with the map then. Geographically, Haryana is small, it's landlocked. So why do so many sources call it the geopolitical pivot of North India? That seems a bit counterintuitive.
It's all about one thing, magnetism, specifically the unrelenting pull of Delhi.
Okay.
Haryana wraps around the national capital on three sides, north, west, and south. That proximity basically defines everything about the state, its economy, its challenges, everything.
And I see here in the sources, this magnetism is clearly a double-edged sword.
It's the perfect way to put it. On one side, you have the NCR boom. 14 of the state's 22 districts are now in the national capital region.
Wow, that's more than half the state.
Exactly. And that drives this massive industrialization, especially in places like Gurugram and Faridabad. They're essentially Delhi's industrial and IT lungs.
But the flip side you mentioned, the shadow effect, that's the resource drain and I assume a huge administrative headache.
A massive one. You get severely uneven urbanization, Gurugram booms, but it also sucks up water, power, and police focus. Then there's the transit burden. All the traffic heading north has to go through Haryana, and of course you get crime spilling over from a giant metropolis.
That makes the internal geography fascinating. You pointed out that two districts, Rohtak and the new one, Charki Dadri, they're completely landlocked inside Haryana.
Yes, carved out in 2016, they exist sort of outside that immediate gravitational pull of the NCR, which really symbolizes the state's biggest challenge, how to spread that wealth and development evenly.
Okay, let's pivot from modern geography to deep history. The sources call this land the cradle of Indian civilization and put a huge emphasis on this one archaeological site, Rakhigarhi. What's so special about it?
Rakhigarhi has, well, it's caused two major paradigm shifts in how we understand the Indus Valley civilization. First is just the sheer scale of it.
It's big.
It's huge, over 350 hectares. The excavations suggest it might actually be larger than Mohenjo-Daro.
So you're saying it fundamentally moves the the central address of the entire civilization?
Precisely. It suggests the center of gravity wasn't necessarily in the west, in the Indus Valley, but right here, in the Gheggar-Hakra Basin, on Haryana soil. It's a massive revision.
Okay, that's one. What's the second shift? The sources mention continuity.
And that's the key. DNA evidence from skeletons found there shows a clear, unbroken lineage. It's a genetic link between the mature Harappan phase and the later Vedic culture. Meaning the transition probably wasn't from a mass migration, but more of an internal evolution that happened right on this land.
Incredible. And that history as a pivot point just continues, doesn't it? Panipat, the site of 3 decisive battles. That wasn't just bad luck.
Not at all. It was inevitable geography. Panipat sits right on the old Grand Trunk Road. Any army marching from the northwest towards Delhi had to pass through.
And it was a perfect distance from the capital.
Exactly. About 80 to 90 kilometers out. Far enough to deploy your full army and cavalry, but close enough to strike at the heart of power. It was the geographical choke point, the unavoidable arena.
Which brings us back to the modern economy and its central paradox. This idea of being rich but unemployed, Let's get into the numbers.
It is truly perplexing. The state's nominal per capita income is estimated at over 3.5 lakh rupees this year. That's way above the national average.
And yet, the unemployment rate is stubbornly high, around 6.1%, which is nearly double the national average.
Right, so the state is generating immense wealth, but the jobs aren't following in the same way.
Why not?
It's a textbook case of jobless growth, but with a unique local twist. First, the growth drivers are highly capital intensive. Think about the IT hubs in Gurugram or the massive automated car plants.
Like the new Maruti plant.
Exactly. When Rudy sets up in Karkota, it creates enormous value, but it relies on robotic assembly lines and a small number of specialized technicians, not thousands of unskilled workers.
So the wealth is concentrated, and you need very specific skills to access it.
That's the skill mismatch. But the second, and arguably more unique factor, is what the sources call aspirational unemployment.
Aspirational. Wait, you mean people are choosing to be unemployed?
In a way, yes. Many educated young people, especially men, will voluntarily stay unemployed for years to prepare for one thing: a coveted government job, a sarkari nokri.
Why that intense focus?
It's about ironclad stability and social status. That government job offers security for life, benefits, and a huge boost in social standing. For many families, sacrificing a few years of private sector income to chase that ultimate prize is considered the only sensible path.
That context is crucial. But this entire economic model is threatened by an environmental crisis, isn't it? The agroclimatic mismatch.
Yes. How does a semi-arid state become an agricultural powerhouse? It did it with engineering massive canal networks built after the Green Revolution.
Which led to a dependency on water-guzzling crops. Paddy rice.
Exactly. And when the canals weren't enough, they started drilling for groundwater. Deeper and deeper.
And now, the disaster. 14 districts are classified as dark zones, where water is being extracted far faster than it can be recharged.
And this is where one source uses a really stark phrase. It says the state is effectively exporting its groundwater in the form of basmati rice.
Wow.
Haryana provides about 60% of India's basmati exports. It's huge for foreign currency. But they're literally selling their non-renewable water embedded in those grains of rice. It's a staggering trade-off.
That seems completely unsustainable. So what's the strategy to fix it?
They're using financial incentives to force a change. The main scheme is called Mera Pani Meri Virasat, my water, my heritage.
And what does it do?
It offers a direct payment, 7,000 rupees per acre, to farmers who switch from paddy to less thirsty crops like maize or pulses.
So paying them to conserve.
Yes, and coupling that with a zoning strategy. Trying to push crops like bajra and mustard into the drier belts and only allowing paddy where there's enough surface water, it's an attempt to finally obey the laws of geography.
And that leads us to infrastructure. They're betting big here to drive future growth. What's the real game changer?
Without a doubt, it's the KMP Expressway, the Kundli-Masakur-Palwal Expressway. It's a massive ring road around Delhi, but for Haryana, it's the new economic spine.
It's more than just a road, then.
Much more. It turns the ring into an industrial necklace. And crucially, it connects directly with a dedicated freight corridor. That synergy creates perfect spots for huge multimodal logistics parks. The goal is to make Haryana the logistics hub of North India.
And outside the NCR, they're building the Maharaja Agrasen Airport in Hisar. Why, when Delhi's airport is so close?
The focus isn't really on passengers. It's about industrial specialization. Hisar is being designed as a hub for MRO maintenance, repair, and overhaul for aircraft and integrated air cargo.
Ah, so it's a B2B project.
Exactly. Using cheaper land outside the NCR to build a whole aerospace ecosystem, which in turn creates high-skilled technical jobs for those aspirational youth we were talking about.
It all connects. Okay, let's move to governance. This is a state famous for political volatility. It gave us the phrase Ayaram Gayaram for political defections.
That history of instability is why the recent shift to stable governance has been so critical. It's allowed them to push through some really radical, long-term digital reforms.
Like what? What stands out?
Two things. First, the online transfer policy.
Moving bureaucratic postings online. That sounds simple, but what's the real impact?
It's a quiet revolution. Historically, postings for teachers or police were highly politicized. It created a corrupt politician-bureaucrat nexus. By using an algorithm, they've taken political discretion out of the equation, breaking that nexus and stabilizing the whole administration.
And the second big reform.
That's the Laldora Mukt scheme, which was piloted in Haryana and then went national as SV Fia.
This is about property rights in villages, right?
Yes, for decades, houses inside the village limits, the Laldora, had no formal ownership papers. They were dead capital. You couldn't get a bank loan against your own home.
So the drone mapping creates a legal title.
Exactly. It issues legal property cards. It's not just a survey. It's unlocking billions in rural capital that can now be used for loans, for business, for development.
This is where it gets really fascinating, though, the role of sports and culture. We always hear about Haryana's Olympic wrestlers. That's not just a coincidence, is it?
Not at all. It is
Oh.
entirely policy-driven. It's built on a policy called Padak Lao, Pad Pow, bring a medal, get a position.
What kind of position?
A guaranteed Class 1 or Class 2 government job, the highest status jobs that everyone wants.
Wait, so they are directly trading a medal for the very thing the aspirational unemployed are spending years studying for.
Precisely. It makes sporting excellence the fastest, most reliable path to that dream of a secure government job. And that policy is what has driven this incredible Gunhat to gold medal transformation, especially for women in conservative villages.
And culturally, they're using soft power with events like the Suraj Kund Mela.
It's a massive crafts festival, one of the biggest in the world, and they use it strategically, designating a partner nation and a theme state each year. It becomes a tool for soft diplomacy and opens up markets for thousands of artisans.
Okay, let's pull all these threads together into the future vision. It seems like everything revolves around this one massive digital database, the PPP.
The Parivar Pechan Patra. That's the digital backbone for everything. It's a dynamic, family-based database where every family gets a unique ID. It's the single source of truth for the entire administration.
What's the real advantage of having that?
It enables something called auto-exclusion. So instead of you applying for every welfare scheme, the database automatically sees who is eligible, or, more importantly, who is no longer eligible because their income changed.
So it cleans up the system, removes ghost beneficiaries.
Exactly. It makes every subsidy more targeted and efficient.
But looking at this new budget, they're thinking far beyond just efficiency. What is the most ambitious thing in there?
I think it has to be the establishment of a brand new Department of Future.
A Department of the Future.
Yes. It's designed to be a strategic government think tank, focused squarely on long-term challenges, climate change, AI, automation. They are literally institutionalizing future readiness.
And they're putting real money behind it.
A lot of money. The new Haryana AI mission is being launched with the World Bank assuring assistance of over 474 crore rupees to set up AI hubs. And at the same time, they're allocating 5,000 crore to the Lado Lakshmi scheme, giving women direct financial support.
So to synthesize it all, Haryana is this place that is simultaneously a historical cradle, a modern high-growth magnet, and now a testbed for really ambitious, future-focused digital governance.
And it's all driven by this grand vision, Mission Haryana 2047, which aims to grow the state's economy to an incredible $1 trillion US. And they're doing it with fiscal discipline. The deficit is actually projected to go down. The ambition is undeniable.
Which brings us to the final, necessary, provocative thought for you, the listener, a thought that ties back to that central ecological tension. If Haryana's fiscal discipline is evident and its economic ambition is clear, that $1 trillion goal, what is the long-term cost? Can the state truly achieve this massive financial target if it cannot solve the core ecological challenge of its plummeting groundwater table? Is this whole pursuit of financial prosperity fighting a losing battle against the immutable laws of its own geography? It's a paradox they absolutely have to solve.